Hello everyone, it's Karen. It is a long weekend for us this weekend. We have Friday and Monday off, so 4 days of freedom and reading bliss. And actually it's Thursday at 3:52 and I'm already home from work. So I even have like all of tonight as well. So I've decided to reschedule the mid-month book bash from last weekend when I didn't even remember that it was that weekend to this weekend where I have a lot of time off and I'm not going anywhere and it's just gonna be chill yoga, reading. It's going to be amazing. I might vlog, who knows. Anyway, I am trying to fully embrace myself as a mood reader this year. And with that being said, I know there's tons of fun stuff happening in March. I'm not participating. I'm doing my own thing. And that is kind of a spring into summer theme because during the month of March, obviously, it will become springtime. And also, I might start this weekend with this project just because I'm excited about it now. But to give you a little bit of a heads up as to what this pertains to, basically this summer I'm going to be able to travel a lot more than I've ever been able to. So when I was in loads of credit card debt, I pretty much just did like mini trips. Like I would say Michigan, where I live, Illinois, Indiana, obviously, to get to Illinois, and Wisconsin. And that's pretty much it. Like, I just like, whoop, whoop, that's my little area, and I don't stray from it. And this year, I have more opportunities to travel. So the first opportunity is I am going backpacking with Lindsay, which is not a big trip in itself because it actually is still in that little loop I talked about containing those states. But I've, number one, never been backpacking. And number two, just the expensive equipment and stuff is something that I wouldn't have been able to try before, especially when I don't know if I'm even going to like backpacking or not. But I'm so excited basically to meet her in person, but also that she's willing to take the time to teach me a lot of this stuff. And I am doing research and trying to learn on my own now before going with her, so I don't completely depend on her for everything, but I am so excited for this trip. So one of the things that I have seen a lot of booktubers particularly do, and I'm thinking right now of Heather from Soggy Expat Book Nerd. Whenever that girl goes on vacation, she always takes along books with her that take place in the place that she is traveling to, and she reads them while she's on vacation. Now, that's all fine and good and lovely, and that's a great idea. However, I'm excited about vacation now. Like right now, I am planning what I'm going to be up to this summer. So I decided that this spring into summer readathon that I'm doing by myself, you can join me if you want, but it's just my mood reading is basically what it is going to be basically me reading books from each of the provinces or states that I'm going to be traveling to this summer. So my first trip, like I said, is backpacking with Lindsay. I'm going to start in Michigan, but that's not really counting right now because I live there anyway. And then I am going to Indiana because basically the cheapest airfare for her was to fly into Chicago. So I will be coming from Michigan through Indiana into Illinois to get her and to pick her up. So the first book that I'm going to read for Indiana is Real Queer America. Now, I have heard about this book before. I've seen it in bookstores. I don't like this cover as much as some of the other covers, but it's a library book. I'm super excited to read this one. Basically, I believe this is about a woman who is gay or queer or somewhere part of that community, the LGBTQ plus IA community, and she is in a very, very conservative state. I don't remember which one. And she kind of tours the country just talking about the people that live more liberal lives but live in conservative areas. And I think it's about how like that is home to people, and you can't just leave your home because it's conservative and maybe not always welcoming to the person that you are. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited to read it, and I'm guaranteeing that part of it has to take place in Indiana because. Okay, and then the next book takes place in Chicago, which I have actually lived in Chicago before, so again, this is not that crazy, but it is The Great Believers. Now, not only is this book signed by the author, but I've actually met her before a few times, And back before, like, this book made her big. I feel like before that, no one really knew who she was. And I was her author escort for Lit Fest in Chicago. So basically, I brought her from the place where all the authors kind of met and like got settled and organized to the location where she would be speaking, and then if needed walked her back, but she didn't need to because she's from Chicago-ish land. And so this was signed when I met her again in 2019, and she said, "Karen, with thanks for your help years ago," and I've still never gotten to it. So super excited to get to this one. I've heard good things about it. So we talked about going from Michigan to Indiana to Illinois. Then once I get Lindsay in Chicago, we will be going the wrong way to the UP. And we'll be going to Wisconsin next. So for Wisconsin, I have A Map of the World by Jane Hamilton. I have not read this. It's an Oprah book from like the 90s probably. And I have only read one other book by Jane Hamilton, and I just felt deeply connected to it because my family back in the day were apple farmers, and the book that I read was basically about apple farmers. And I think that this is also kind of about a farm community or something. I don't really know, but I'm excited to read this one that takes place in Wisconsin. Then, obviously, we're going through Wisconsin to get to our destination, which is the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And recently, I have discovered that, what's his name? Last Thing You Surrender author, something Junior. Anyway, I'll put it here. I watched a video with him recommending some of his favorite authors, and one of the authors that he mentioned, who I've never heard of, is Mary Doria Russell. Have you guys heard of her? I was reading up about her, and it talked about archaeology or anthropology, one of those, and it just sounded interesting. Anyway, her most recent novel is The Women of Copper Country, and this takes place in the UP of Michigan, so it's going to be perfect. And then after Lindsay and I are done backpacking, we will go across the Mackinac Bridge, which is the correct way to go to the UP, but this way we'll be coming home, which is not as exciting because the UP is like freedom. Like, it is like you are just free and in wild nature and beautifulness and bear country and all this stuff when you enter the UP. And so crossing the Mackinac Bridge on your way there is like just like this transition that you are officially in this completely different place from the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. So to not be able to cross it is stressing me out and making me feel not good. But you know what? I will do it. For Lindsay, I will do it. Okay. We will cross it. It's just coming home, which is not the same. And then we are going on a reading vacation. So I am going to be showing her around in Petoskey, which is my favorite town. Unfortunately, my favorite hotel was booked, and also trying to save a little bit of cash, so we booked another one, but it'll still be like Petoskey area, and it'll be amazing. Okay, so that's my first vacation. My second thing is I just have a quick work retreat that is in Indiana. So again, I've already mentioned a book that takes place in Indiana, and no, just kidding. Sorry, rewind. I will be going through Indiana to get to my work retreat, but it's actually at a state park in Illinois. And it's going to be beautiful. I should have really nice vlog footage from that. It's only like, I think only like one full day, like 2 nights, I don't know. Anyway, but hopefully it involves hiking because that park is absolutely beautiful. I've never been there, but I've seen pictures. And the reason I send Indiana is because there's a park in Indiana that reminds me a lot of like looking the same way that state park looks. Okay, so then done with the first 2 trips of the summer. The last trip, basically at the very end of the summer, is that I wanted to go somewhere with my mom. I wanted to basically celebrate the fact that I'm not in credit card debt anymore. And so we decided to go on a celebratory vacation. And I think that obviously my goal is to one day be able to have been to all the states. But when I think about which part of the country interests me the most, it's always the East Coast. And I think that's because of like all the history, all the bookish things, the cool architecture, like just like, oh, and nature, like being along the Atlantic Ocean and stuff like that. I love the vibe of the East Coast, and I have been to Boston before and adored it. So I'm not going to Boston again, but basically I'm planning this vacation for my mom and I to go on. I'm the official tour guide. Basically, I just like schedule stuff and then I run it by her and make sure that she's cool with it. But basically, I've only planned the first few days, so the second part is to be determined. I'm going to work on that on my 4 days off. But we are going to leave from her house, and then we are going to drive and maybe stop in London for a little bit because, okay, here's the thing. Let's just rewind. I live 2 hours away from Canada, and I have never been to Canada. And 2 hours away. Why have I never been to Canada? That's so ridiculous. I have been to Mexico. I have been to all these different countries like in the Caribbean and different like territories and stuff. I've been so many places in the Caribbean. I have been to London Heathrow Airport. I have been to Poland. I've been to the Czech Republic, but never Canada, 2 hours from my house. So I wanted to go there, and I'm really interested in going to London just because I know that Emma Donoghue is there. Sounds like there's like a street with loads of bookshops on it, coffee shops, all this stuff. I actually want to go there for like a weekend away sometime, but this is basically just a quick stop because my mom needs to pee and she needs her Diet Coke, and we have to stop anyway. So why not stop in London and get a bookstore or two in before we continue on our way. So we will drive to London and then carry on to Niagara Falls, which I've never seen before. Not super excited about Niagara Falls because I feel like I've heard that there's just like loads of casinos and hotels by it and not super like nature. But we are on the Canadian side, which I heard is more beautiful, and like we do need to stop. We can only drive so far in one night, and I thought that that would be a really natural, good stopping place before we carry on the next day. So we will be hanging out in Niagara Falls, and so for that, let's talk about Canada first. So Ontario, I believe that Alice Munro is from there, and this is a book I already had in my collection, so I'm going to be reading some of her short stories, which is what she's super well known for. Then we will finish Niagara Falls. We're basically just spending like an afternoon and then staying there overnight, and then we will go on through New York. And so for New York, I have The Personal Librarian, which has been raved about so long, and I haven't read it yet. Then we will... Oh, I don't think... Hang on. I need to get my list because I haven't actually gotten all these books yet. But then once we pass through New York, we will be in Massachusetts, which I have been to. I've never been to New York. I've never been to Ontario. I've never been to New York. I have been to Massachusetts, like I said, because I've been to Boston. The book for that is We Ride Upon Sticks. And in addition to that one, which is about, I think, a female hockey team, women's hockey team in Danvers, which is actually the location, I believe, of the Salem witch trials, even though they're called the Salem witch trials, but where Salem was then is actually Danvers, I think. So I really want to read that one. I have wanted to read it for a while. I really like hockey. Like, I'm not into sports, but if I were into a sport, it would be hockey. And that's really the next part of our trip, is that we are going to drive from Niagara Falls to Salem, Massachusetts, spend the night there, and then have a whole day where we hang out there, spend one more night, and then we'll carry on after that. So I'm really excited to go to Salem. If you guys have any recommendations of stuff to do kind of on the way from Niagara Falls to Salem, or just in Salem or whatever, that would be amazing. Then after that, this is where everything gets tentative because I'm not sure where we're going. I have never been to Maine. I really want to go to Maine. However, this is a pretty quick trip. So like, I don't know if going to Bahaba is like, that would be cool, but that's also a lot of time in the car when we wouldn't have loads of time to spend there, because basically I'm thinking that we would be there for part of one day and all of another day, and then we would leave. So anyway, but I hope to go to Maine, and in going to Maine, you have to go through New Hampshire. So I'm going to be reading The World According to Garp, which I know that Kim from Middle of the Book March loves this book, and I might be able to meet up with her when I'm traveling this summer. It might not happen, it might happen, we don't really know. It's like I'm there for such a short time period that to ask people to hang out with me is kind of a big ask when I'm like, okay, I'm only here for like 5 minutes, can you please hang out with me? Then I'm hoping to go to Maine and possibly meeting up with Heidi, depending on her schedule as well. I don't know where I'm going in Maine. So again, recommendations, like where do you think that I should go in Maine if I were to spend like probably almost 2 full days, to be quite honest, because from Salem to Maine isn't really that long of a drive. I am going to read, based on Heidi's recommendation, Lost on a Mountain in Maine, and even better, this is tiny. I didn't realize how tiny it was going to be when I got it. So that's that. Then I'm thinking of going home a different way so I can go through some more states. So we might go through Rhode Island or Connecticut or Vermont. Like it just like, I don't know where we're going in Maine, so I haven't really figured out a path to go home, but I would like to take a longer path in order to hit more states. Another state that I'm thinking we will go through almost for sure if I go a little bit south is Pennsylvania, and I think I'm going to read Crossing to Safety for Pennsylvania, and then right before Michigan we'll end in Ohio, and I plan to read Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper. I think this is about a person with some sort of a disability. I don't know, maybe autism, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, this has been on my shelf for a while as well, so I tried to include books that I already had mixed with a few from the library. So that is that. I would love your recommendations on places in Maine that you guys really think I should go, or other places in New England that would be like really good, pretty close to Salem. That would be nice to go either after Salem, probably not before Salem, but probably like after, like little mini trips. I've never been to Walden Pond, but I know that's really close to Boston, and I should have done it last time I was in Boston. I don't know if that's worth a trip, just to like walk around and be cozy and in nature and all that stuff. I've kind of heard that it's underwhelming, but I think it's just like regular nature. So like, I don't want something super commercial. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on where to travel. I'm curious if you guys like have summer plans already, and if you wanted to do something similar with reading books from your summer travels, so you can kind of like get in this mindset before you go, and then once you're there you can be like, oh, I recognize this place, or I don't know, anything like that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I might vlog this weekend. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, whatever you do, even if it's just a normal 2-day weekend, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!